What's up, Crypto Crew, and welcome back. Or if this is your first time, I'm Captain Crypto Might, actively escaping the Matrix, scoping out the crypto ocean. So if you like your odds, get on the boat, stay up to date, thumbs up, and join the hunt.
Into the boat!
Crypto Crew, today we're getting into part 2 of the interview Ankit of the XXIM podcast had with Eliott Mea, the Kaspa researcher under tutelage of Yonathan Sompolinsky, who made some interesting comments about oracles in the previous interview. If you haven't seen that, watch that one first.
But wait! There's more!
But before we go into this vid, remember to prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Kaspa is a digital asset, and like all investments, you must protect them, Crypto Crew. Self-custody is key, and in our opinion, the Tangent wallet is your best option. Get 10% off using code Crypto Crew. And if you want to get your hands on a Tangent ring, there's an extra 15% off, 15, adding on code 15 offering. Thanks so much for your consideration and support in advance, and may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you all.
Binance, at the end of the day, is a centralized entity. Whatever transactions happen in Binance don't actually happen on the network. It's just an updating of your data center. And they could just manually override the API, provide a very false price. For example, one Bitcoin is $10. Everyone using Chainlink or any oracle would be liquidated because they would be the ones to buy it back. And then they could sell it for the real price because no one thinks Bitcoin is $10. Yes, it's a trusted entity and there's pretty much nothing you can do about it, that they can manipulate the price and with no consequences apart from legal ones. But then that's back to a banking system where we're trusting it to not do the wrong thing. And the second point you made was very interesting with market making, because you can manipulate the price through buy and sell orders, even on Hyperliquid, for example, where you are actually sending transactions. So imagine two friends have a lot of money. One of them is participating in the Oracle game and has $1 million. And basically they agree that the first friend is going to screw the Oracle, lose the $1 million. Let's assume the Oracle's pretty good, so he's going to lose that $1 million. But the other one has now $5 million to profit from the screwed Oracle. So how do you go against this? Because basically you're limited by the liquidity that's participating in the Oracle game. If this liquidity doesn't represent the whole liquidity of Bitcoin trading, which is impossible, it's easier to manipulate this oracle than it will be to manipulate the market. Manipulating the market, you can't do anything against it either way. I mean, at least it's another subject. So how do you deal with this case? One fundamental property that me and Yonathan believe should be in any oracle and has not been studied at all is that if you create a SKU of $5 in the Oracle game, essentially you're going to be able to profit linearly from this false Oracle price. Maybe it takes you $1 or $2 million to compensate this and exploit the arbitrage, but it's linear. Any profit you can make is linear. So if you manage to make it such that the in-game loss is quadratic in this SKU, then now you have orders of magnitude more to lose by creating this SKU in the game than what you can profit after you've manipulated it. More intuitive way to say it is, for the first player to lose $1 million, they will have created a SKU that is so small that there is not more than $1 million to profit, and even there is probably just 100K to profit. Yeah, that's a fundamental property that doesn't exist and that should, and it can be done, yeah.
I guess the analogy that comes to my mind is, in a traditional financial system, we've got entities that do nefarious things and then they get slapped on the wrist with tiny fines. So what you're saying is, if you do try to manipulate certain oracles in this example, you actually are liable in a proper way. And in this case, you're saying quadratic, right?
Yeah, if it means if you create a SKU of epsilon, then your loss is going to be epsilon squared. Like you will be at a loss. If you try to manipulate it, your profit function will be negative. So yeah, you don't need to rely on trust or on legal systems to slap you on the wrist. You're slapping yourself on the wrist by doing it.
When we were discussing nodes, and the point, perhaps one of the first points I mentioned is like, even if you have 100 nodes, right? In Chainlink's example, I believe they only have like 90 nodes, so they don't have a lot of nodes. But even if you have 90 nodes, if they're accessing the data from the same source, so let's say in this case, they're accessing from Binance the price of Kaspa. The leader of that round on Chainlink, does it know the source for all the nodes, or it doesn't care, or it doesn't know the source?
Yeah, it doesn't. That's the whole thing. Nodes are giving a price, but there is no cryptographic way to verify where the price came from, because Binance is not going to create a private key and sign everything.
I see.
Your aggregating price, you don't know where it comes from. Each of these nodes, which is, by the way, for a certain price feed, it's more 19 than it is 90. Even for Binance, even for Bitcoin price feeds, it's more in the order of 20 nodes. It's very, very little. It's permission, so you can't just, like, these are nodes they know. Not everyone can just participate. So you don't know what you're aggregating, basically, which is the problem, because everyone could be fetching from Binance. They could be coming up with their own price. There would be legal consequences, but that's it. Your Oracle, apart from a social consensus, it cannot determine who is lying. The median is a bad model because it relies on the assumption that 50% of your nodes are going to be honest with the data they provide, which itself is not true. It's not like in Bitcoin. So this assumption is made for consensus mechanisms. The way they try to market it is essentially it's the same thing, right? We can take this assumption because everyone's taking this assumption, but it isn't the same thing, because in Bitcoin you have deterministic rules, or in Ethereum, if you break the rules, you're going to be slashed. The consensus is deterministic. In an Oracle game, you don't know if someone is lying. You say you believe someone is lying. Is it intentional, or is it just an error of observation because they went on a smaller exchange? If it's an error, do you want to penalize someone for taking a price which you don't agree with because you think they're lying? Like, this is very tough because you don't know what's happening. You don't know the prices people are giving you. You don't know if they're honest. You don't know if they have observation errors. And you're assuming 50% are honest, which is why the median should lie in between these honest votes. At least it'll be between the lowest honest player and the highest honest player.
If everything comes down to Oracle and everything comes down to Chainlink in this example, then we're back to that centralized place. Right, then we have a single source of failure here, which we're trying to get away from in a blockchain, right? These are the two issues. Collusion and decentralization is really added by the Chainlink model, I think.
Yeah, the central point of failure, I agree, which is pretty concerning when you're building DeFi and when you're securing millions, to have a single person who could censor the Oracle price, render it slow. Or that is one area where Kaspa has a good advantage, the multi-leader consensus. So if you manage to have several people pushing the price on chain, censoring no longer becomes viable. And the other one with Collusion is very interesting, because when you play the Oracle game, you essentially have to pay some money to stake some money to play, because there has to be consequences for you lying. There has to be a way to slash you. The median is going to reward the players based on their distribution around the median. So reward the closest ones. But it doesn't have any idea, and it doesn't have any consciousness of what the median is. So basically, if there's a distribution around $1 and players are rewarded based on who's closest, the reward, the in-game reward, is the same as if this median was manipulated by Collusion, is now around $100, but around these $100, it's the same normal distribution. So you still get rewards. You can get rewarded from being blatantly wrong and clearly lying, and everyone can get rewarded. You're just closest from the median. So Collusion is very simple in the median case, because I could just go around, say I have enough money, go to these 20 nodes that are giving the price from Chainlink for Bitcoin, tell them that if they all decide that Bitcoin is $10, then I will give them 500K each. So now I have a cost to create this arbitrage, of course, but they're going to collude. It's not that expensive because I only need 10 of them to lie. And they don't get slashed because the Oracle itself is not seeing this. It doesn't understand that the Oracle is being blatantly manipulated. Yeah, that's a problem with the Oracle. And the idea of how to detect this, there have been different ideas, and these are the ideas. I'll give you two of them right now, and you'll tell me what you think about them.
Yep.
The first one is Pith Network. If we believe the data has been manipulated, what we do is we take 3 data sources, our set of nodes who gave us the price. We take 3 of them and we say that the median of these 3 is the real price. So now you've gone from trusting 100 nodes maybe to 3 nodes. It doesn't make any sense. Imagine these 3 nodes were part of the collusion. So the second one is a permissionless oracle called Flare Network, which is pretty big. They made the oracle part of their layer 1 blockchain, which is kind of similar to what we would like to do. I had a discussion with one of their PhDs on Twitter and their founder. The discussion ended with the founder saying, as a participant in the layer 1 game, I will not manipulate the oracle because if I do, even if I'm not slashed by the oracle mechanism itself, I manipulated the data so people lose trust in the oracle and the L1 token falls in price. So this is the security argument from the founder of why the oracle is secure, which makes no sense. It's crazy to think that you have a PhD, your whole education is when you make a claim, you prove it, and there are no proofs. And the arguments were, yes, but they should behave this way, or this attack is tough to carry out. When the founder answered, I took a screenshot and sent it to Yonathan and said, did I win this debate? And he said, no rhetorical questions allowed. And then I said, okay, I'll consider this a 1-0 for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
Shout out to Ankit and the XXIM podcast, and shout out to Eliott Mea for his insights. More to come in a vid near you, Crypto Crew. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Stick around.
Fix your mind before you get to the grind. And with that said, let's continue to escape the matrix. Let's continue to be on the lookout for the next big thing here on the crypto ocean. Grow in grace, and let's make some crypto waves. Say I.